What's cracking everyone? My name is Eric and today we're going back to UI design and today we'll be talking about color codes. So this looks kind of confusing because, well, first of all, we are in Paint. But yeah, today we're going to talk about color codes. So you may have seen me before whenever I UI design in time-lapse or whatever, I set colors of some UI elements using some code that looks something like this. This is a color code, this right here. So as you can see, it starts with a hashtag and then it has 6 numbers. So today we'll learn about how we use these, how we set these hashtags and how it works to set our colors. And hopefully by the end of the video, this is also gonna be a kind of a challenge. So without googling it, you should be able to know what color this is by the end of this video. So let's start. So you may remember from drawing, from drawing in general, that the 3 primary colors are red, yellow, and blue, as you can see right here. And those can be used to mix pretty much all colors. So you would have purple over here, orange down here, and green down here. You can see in this example I've mixed yellow and blue, and that gives us green. However, that is when you're drawing with pigments. So pigments is basically like drawing in real life, coloring something. However, when we are working in studios, we are using light. And mixing light is very, or not very, but it is indeed different from mixing colors. So basically, when using light, you have red, green, and blue instead of red, yellow, and blue. And this is actually known everywhere. You may have heard the term RGB, and this is what it stands for: red, green, blue, RGB. Chances are you've probably heard of it. You can see it's written right here, RGB. Whether you have an RGB mouse or RGB keyboard or something like that, usually used in PCs. That usually just means that it can switch between a lot of different colors by mixing different aspects of the RGB. In fact, that's actually how the pixels on your device work. And for whether you're watching this on a tablet, a phone, a computer, or whatever, it's made up of pixels. And each one of those pixels is actually 3 small lamps, one red, one gray, green, and one blue. So you could put a box around this, and this would be a pixel. It works in much the same way as drawing with colors, in that you can mix red and blue to get you mix red and blue to get magenta or purple. You mix red and green to get yellow, as you can see I've done over here, and then you mix blue and green to get turquoise. But what about black and white? You may have also seen that I can adjust the darkness and brightness with the same color code, and this can also be done with with RGB coloring. So with RGB coloring, we can obviously do different colors, as I've just explained. So it basically works in that each of these have different brightnesses. So each of these each of these 3 small lamps have different values, ranging from 0 to 255. So 255 would be the absolute brightest, and 0 would be the lowest. So let's say I want to have only blue. So that would mean this blue lamp would have to shine the brightest, let's say 255, but the rest should just hide away. So I set those to be 0. And by changing these values of these 3 lamps, we can get all colors that we want by varying them. And that's what we're doing when we set the color. We are varying the different light aspects of the RGB values. So now, that is how we set colors. So we create different color values by depending on what the differences are between these 3 lamps. And besides that, in general, the higher the value, the higher the value these 3 lamps have overall, the brighter it is. This means that we can actually mix the color white. So when drawing, if I ask you what color do you get when you mix all 3 colors, so red, yellow, and blue, you probably see a brown or some dark color. However, when we mix light, we actually get a white when we mix all colors. So if we set all these to 255, we would get a perfect white. And similarly, if we set them all to be 0, it would be totally black. So yeah, that is how you set the color codes. So yeah, that is how you set RGB. So you set the color value by adjusting the differences between the lamps, and then you adjust the brightness of this color value that you've gotten by increasing or decreasing the values of all the lamps in total. So what about this color code then? Now we'll talk about how to actually set these values. So when you set these values, you have 6 decimals, and these are called hexadecimals, and we'll talk about what that means in a bit. It's basically like a number system. It's basically like using the numbers 1 to 9. Actually, I forgot. I actually made a dumb move here. So um, normally we use a base 10 system, as you can see right here. So this means that we have 10 different symbols. So if I started counting, I would go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I would go 1 up in the next position. So it is a 1, 0, also known as 10, and then 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, and so on. And hexadecimals is the exact same way. It's basically another counting system. So we use the one called base 10 because we have 10 different symbols. And hexadecimal is a similar accounting system. It works the exact same way. We just count up, except now we have 16 different symbols, which is where we get our letters from. So our first 10 symbols is going to be 0 to 9 like before, but then we need 6 additional symbols, so we can have 16 different symbols. So we just took letters from the alphabet. So if I started counting up with hexadecimals, I would say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I would say A, and then B, C, D, E, F. And then I go to 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, all the way up to 1, F. So 10 in our base 10 system is actually going to be A in or 0A in hexadecimal. And that is why you see letters in these color codes. So let's look at what a color code consists of. So this is a color code. So it's basically split into 3 parts. As you can see, we have 6 decimals. The first 2 set the R, the second 2, the 2 next set the G, and the last 2 set the B. So that's pretty much how it's split up. It's evenly split up. Now, why exactly 2 decimals, and why can we set it to 255? To 255 in value. That is because of the counting system that we've chosen. So we have 16 different symbols. And so for each position here, we have 16 different symbols, meaning that we can meaning that if we have 2 as a position right here, that's 16 multiplied by 16, which is 256, which gets us our maximum of 255 value. So remember from before I said we could have a max value of 255 on each of our lamps. Although we have 256 combinations for each, or 256 values for each lamp. Now that is because I didn't talk about the 0 value. Remember the 0 value is also one of them. So we have 1 to 255. It's starting to not make sense as per usual, but. So we can set our values on each of these lamps from 1 to 255, and then our 256 value is as 0, so completely blank. Now using this, we can start to set this. So remember, these first 2 letters control only the R, the red lamp, the next to the green lamp, and the next to the blue lamp. And you set this by using hexadecimals. So the highest value, so to get a value of 255, you would say FF, and to get a value of 0, you would say 00. And using this, you can actually start to create your colors. So let's say I wanted to create the perfect turquoise. Actually, no. Let's say I want to create a bright blue for our example. So the first step is, let me just do the hashtag right here. Now let's first set the, first of all, we need to create the color value. So that is, and if you remember from before, we actually did that by setting the differences between the lamps. So we do that by setting the blue lamp to AA down here. If you guys remember, blue is lost, RGB, red, green, blue. So now we have like a good blue. So and now it says 0000 AA. So the red and green lamp are completely turned off, and the blue is shining bright. So if we wanted to create a perfect blue, we could just set this AA to being FF. However, as I said before, we want it to be a light blue. Now remember, toning this AA down is actually not gonna make it brighter. It's just gonna make it less blue. To make it brighter, remember, I need to incorporate more whiteness into it. And remember, I said that we did that by raising all the values. So what I'm going to do is raise all the overall values so that all of these also have a bit more value. And of course, I'm also gonna, let me just get my eraser. I can also raise the AA values. So remember, there's still difference between the R and G values and the B values, but I've just gone ahead and raised the values quite a bit. So there we go, 3333 cc. Remember, there's still a lot more blue compared to the red and green, so it's still very blue. However, because we raised the overall values, it's a much brighter blue now, although I can't really visualize it. So now I want to give you guys a challenge. Actually, before that, you guys might have some questions. Or I don't know if you have them, but these are just general questions I see ask about color codes. So why do we not use base 10? We could just use 0 through 9, and that's basically because it's easier for the computers to calculate with 16 symbols. Basically, if you know what binary is, you would know that it prefers to calculate with numbers that are exponents of 2. And 16 is an exponent of 2, so it's easier for it to work with. It's okay if you don't know what any of that means. It basically means that it's easier for the computer to deal with 16 different symbols. And yeah, also why do we exactly have 255 different values? That I talked about before, but I just want to cover it again, so to kind of make it more clear, because I wasn't that good at explaining it. So remember, for each lamp we have two positions, and in each position we can have 16 different symbols. So that is 16 times 16, which gives us 256. Now we have the values 1 to 255. But we can't actually add a value that's called 256 because our number 256 value is actually going to go towards 0. So we have the 1 to 255 values, and then our last 256 our last 256 value is 0. That was kind of hard to say. So yeah, I hope that covers it a bit. And actually, before we round up the video, I'll give you a bit of a challenge. This hex code that I wrote at the start up here, that I talked about in the start, that you should be able to read by the end of the video. What color will this give us? So I can give you a little hint, and that's on how you just run generally to read. First of all, look at the differences as always. Which which colors are used like primarily here? You can look at what is used more compared to the others. You can see RNG is used more compared to blue, and using that you can find the color value, and additionally you can also look at in general how high the values are overall to find out how bright it is. So yeah, I'll reveal the answer next video in Studio, and also I'd strongly recommend following along this in Studio because it's way easier to deal with when you actually have a visualization. So I'd recommend just going into Studio or some online color code preview or just anything, and just playing around with some values there until you get a hang of it. Now this is actually really useful because using now that you know color codes, I can mathematically create a perfect turquoise. Let's look at this. So if I say 00FFFF, this gives us the perfect turquoise because we have as much as much blue and green possible. We have equal amounts of blue and green, and we have zero red. So this literally gives us a perfect turquoise, and that's the advantage of being able to know color codes, especially if you're a UI designer. Obviously, you can use the color selector, the preset color. You don't have to know this. Being able to mathematically create the values you want and adjust them perfectly, just like you want, is going to be super useful, and it's actually going to be a bit quicker once you know what to do. So yeah, as I said before, answer to this color code will be revealed in the next video. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. If you have any questions, as always, let me know, and I'll try to answer them as best as possible. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.